ready.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Fireside podcast. With me this week is Gabriel of Ages.
Hello. Donald Trump beat me in top trumps.
Nice. Not the apple.
Hello, I saw the rarest of Pepe's.
Yes. And Roy Carlbeck. I'm Clippy McGee. I'm the TARDIS host in the history of the internet. How is everyone doing this week?
I'm doing okay. I've got myself a nice big bottle of beer. Most of the ports from my PC I'm building have come in, so that's
Nice.
good. And yeah, everything's going well.
Well, I got probably the smallest work injury I've ever gotten this week. There was a moment where my thumb was lying under a 200 to 300 pound desk.
Ooh.
But it works fine. It just tingles a little bit.
I can imagine. Jesus, that sounds awful. I thought you could say I had my most minor injury, only lost 2 fingers.
But I also have been playing the crap out of another game. Forget exactly what it's called. Hold on. Just let me look it up because I've got it right here.
Huh.
The Legend of the Dark Witch, The Price of Desire. That's what it is.
Oh, and Apple, to set your mind at rest, even though for us it's still your old logo, on the live stream it's the new logo, so don't worry about it. Your avatar, sorry. Buzzing in rage, I can tell.
Yeah.
Herbs.
The reason I picked that is it's actually a scary picture because to me the scariest thing would be reminding people about existential crises.
I thought it'd be clowns. Because we'll get
Existential
Well,
crisis.
That was my second pick. That was my second pick.
You can
Clown.
have both this year.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'd like to point out that even though because in the UK we have to copy everything America does, we've got the killer clowns over here, and in response, there are now Batman chasing the clowns around. So
Yes, that is awesome.
Is there also a Trump over there?
not really.
I want to know, do you have a posh Batman?
We don't really have a UK equivalent of Batman over here. Robin Hood, I suppose? He'd be the equivalent?
No, I mean a posh Batman.
As in
a proper British Batman, chasing down the clowns wearing top hat, monocle, cup of tea.
No, we don't have those anymore.
Yeah, it's called Sherlock.
That's a shame. Two series, and it was absolutely great. The last series sucked.
And as for what I've been doing recently, this weekend I came out and admitted that Hillary Clinton had groped me at a political rally in 1996. It's part of my tragic backstory as a unicorn. You see, it's something that we are handsome and virile by nature, but no still means no. Former Miss.
Absolutely.
First
Yeah,
lady.
she stroked.
Let me guess, she
that
grabbed your
horn like
horn.
nobody's business.
No. She grabbed my crotch and gave a good squeeze, and all of her security detail were laughing and saying that I had it coming because I'm a unicorn.
That's
yeah,
what I meant by horn.
Look at the way that unicorn was dressed. Obviously begging for it.
Asking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Granted, I was going Scots that day, so I had the kilt on.
Oh, true.
Oh.
But there's dirty Scots always asking for it. Don't even wear underwear, I hear.
Full regimental.
Oh, nice. All right, so this week we have had a group of things. We've had, what was his name, Ken Stone. He's hit the news. He's now the new internet darling. Everyone loves him.
Welcome to the Bone Zone, motherfuckers. We're here to talk about energy policies.
Ken Bone. Obviously forgot about that one.
Ken Bone 2020. We need a clear vision for America.
Well, actually, to be fair, he seems actually like kind of a nice guy.
Whoa. I think you'll find on Reddit he has said he enjoys pornography.
Like
What?
Yes. He's also said that he finds pregnant women attractive.
that's
How dare he?
And I believe there was something else. There was something else that just shocked America to the core.
Yeah, when it came to the Trayvon Zimmerman thing, he said, while he thinks George Zimmerman is a world-class piece of shit, he agrees with the court ruling. Boom.
Oh.
Oh, and also he saw a star's butthole, and he said he liked their butthole.
Whose butthole?
Actually-
What? Hey?
Eh.
Yeah, there's an actress's butthole. But that's the porn thing, I guess.
Okay, this has got a bit
Oh,
creepy.
there's one other minor topic, if we have time to get to it, if you don't mind.
Okay.
CNN has declared that it is illegal to possess copies of the Podesta emails, and therefore you need to be going to CNN for all your information about the emails, which they will happily give you.
Holy
Once they have
shit.
filtered them. Yeah, that Chris Cuomo came on and just said, "You realize it is a crime to possess these."
No, it isn't.
No,
Like-
it isn't. They're stolen documents. If you receive stolen property, and intellectual property isn't this isn't intellectual property. These
is-
people are talking shit in emails.
Also,
I thought
they
art
supported
was
Gawker,
intellectual.
didn't they?
One at a time, please.
Also, they supported Gawker, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if CNN supported Gawker, but a bunch of journalists certainly did, trying to claim that it was newsworthy to have an illegally filmed porn tape up on the internet.
Yep. So
Also, I'll point out that Ken Bone also was happy to see Gawker go. Clearly a Gamergator.
Yeah,
I love him.
what's a terrible anti-establishment individual. He must be thoroughly right-wing and probably a Nazi.
Yep. And I love this because what I thought was happening, because he turned up, and amongst all the he said, she said, he won, he, she won, they smell, you smell, we all smell, he all smell. Ken Bone stood up and asked a sensible question.
Yeah,
about
actually,
policy.
that's
You
something.
can't have that.
That's
And
the
then
thing with
he
this
basically,
guy.
and also he said he was an undecided voter, and he became popular. And in the back of my head, I went, I bet they're going to try to tear him down because he's undecided.
Well, actually, here's the thing. I'm wondering. I don't think it's just undecided because remember, they're trying to sway like undecided voters.
Mm-hmm.
But with him, I think it's just because he answered a sensible question. He asked a sensible question.
Oh,
Like-
to me, it was more like that. It was. I think that was kind of that was what got him popular. But the fact
Yeah.
he was popular, undecided, and he wasn't in the camp. They wanted to tear him down.
Yeah, this is the thing. They wanted to co-opt Ken because he's popular.
Mhm.
And they didn't want him to be on the fence. It's like, well, a guy who's nice and everybody likes him, he's got to be for Hillary, right? No. He's still undecided? We can't have that. Although, here's a great piece for him. I'm going to go ahead and screen share this.
Okay.
It's a lovely picture. And this was drawn by an SJW furry artist who, as soon as Ken came under attack, promptly scrubbed the tweet.
Oh,
And
fuck's
is
sake.
pretending that this artwork does not exist. It's a gorgeous piece. I love it.
Oh.
I'm fine with this. See, here's the thing.
Another Tell Ken Bone mashup. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's about what I expect, but I will say I still. The thing I like about Ken Bone was that I think he was one of the few people in that bloody debate to ask a sensible question that wasn't like targeted to either candidate. I can't believe I'm
It
playing.
wasn't a gotcha.
No, it wasn't. Like every other question, I swear to God, it was like a gotcha for either Trump or Hillary. And I can't believe I'm playing devil's advocate for fucking Hillary here, but this guy answered a reasonable question that neither candidate, didn't answer it well, which is about what I expected.
Well, it was all about grabbing by pussies, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, both of them clearly wanted to grope that pussy and that unicorn crotch.
Roy, you think you could send me that picture?
The one that I just screen shared?
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I just put it away. So.
But yeah, he was one of the few people to actually just ask a sensible question. Also, speaking of which, there was something I saw just now on a site called Quora or something, which is like Yahoo Answers,
Okay.
something like that. This is great. I'm just reading this. The title of it is "How Do I Make My Daughter Stop Watching Misogynistic YouTubers?" Oh, and this is hilarious. Actually, just reading the blurb for it is wonderful. Take a look at this.
Right.
She started watching YouTubers like Teal Deal and Undoomed, but I've raised her in a strictly feminist household. How do I make her stop? Should I take away her internet access? She keeps saying things like feminism is wrong because it's misandry. How do I make this action stop?
Please stop the thing I do not like.
Oh, Cora.
Okay.
Cora, yeah. I would like to say, just change 2 words here, okay? Change misogynist to satanic and feminist to Christian. There you go. There's your answer.
Yep.
This sounds very familiar, otherwise.
I went ahead and re-screen shared the pic so you can just capture it and crop or whatever you need, because I don't know how to actually send a file through this. I'm looking at like screen sharing.
Well, you could probably.
Well, you could
like,
send them through Twitter.
Yeah, just send them through the
I
DM.
could, yeah. That's probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
Sure.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Also, Bob Kostick has reined in on the. Hang on, just read.
Oh,
I'm going to share this with you. Yeah, if he follows me too. There you go. That's his view on the election.
Not seeing it.
that literally is. Oh my god. Grab them by the pussy.
What is pussy?
Vote for me because I have a pussy. What is pussy?
Did someone say pussy?
Please, guys. This is a classy podcast. We call it the poussoir. Yeah.
Actually, what's funny is that
My fellow Americans.
Oh my god.
I did not have sexual relations with Ken Bone.
That's pretty good.
I did not enter the
I
bone.
did not. Oh man, I was going to go for that joke.
Yeah, I beat you to it.
There we go.
I bet you beat me to the bone zone too. Ooh.
Hang on. Sorry, I was actually going to bring up something, but I completely forgot what it was supposed to be.
Let's see. What is?
Oh yes, I remember it. Do you remember when we were talking about questions asked in the debate being basically complete softballs?
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Do you remember Hillary's first ever Q&A she took on TV? Do you remember that?
I think I can.
It was, "Hey Hillary, I was not sure about you, but then I saw how you conducted yourself in the what was it? You know, when she was what was she up for? Indictment? Is that what she was up for?"
Wait. Well, an indictment is just the process of actually pressing charges.
You know, she was made to ask questions. What was that? Answer questions.
Oh, wait. She was under a court order to answer questions pertaining to the inquiry by Judicial Watch.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird entry. It's essentially Judicial Watch saying, "Look, this is related to an investigation that happened because there was an FBI investigation."
Mm.
And even though the FBI declined to prosecute, you can have what's called a filing with the court. There's a specific name for it, and just say, we'd like clarification on some of these questions.
Mm.
And she's essentially trying to dodge them at this point.
Well, I was just saying this is that when she actually went up and actually had answered all the questions, gone through the inquest, stop that.
Stop it.
Went through the inquest and did everything, and then she had her first, I think it was debate, and had questions from the audience. It was like, "Hi Hillary, my name's Patrick McGee. I'm a Netflix subscriber, and I would like to say that I thought how you answered those questions were so powerful and amazing. I just have to vote for you now. Thank you." Wow.
Not a question, just
what a
just like a blow job, really.
It's virtue signaling.
SNL made fun of this on Hillary's behalf when she was running against Obama. There was a Saturday Night Live skit where you had somebody running the debates, and it's a black woman, and she's just giving Obama all the time in the world and not letting Hillary talk. and then a question from the audience, and it's just like, oh yes, I go by Obama Mama on Twitter, and it's just total blowjob question, and then Hillary goes like, I would like to answer that question too. You hush up, sit down, and let Obama Mama talk. And the whole thing was supposed to be like, yeah, the press was totally in the tank for Obama, and now they're in it for Hillary.
And now SNL's in there for Hillary.
What a paradigm shift.
I'm sorry, this is... I'm sorry, but it's not so much the political system in America, which I think is pretty awful, to be honest.
The problem with the political system, really, honestly, like, the structure is there. It's just, like, it needs more than two parties, to be honest. If it has just one more...
It wasn't designed with any in mind. It's just it gravitated that way.
Yeah. But it works a lot better with more than two parties, in my opinion. I mean...
Yeah, but I think what the America has to do, because it has all gravitated to this, it needs an Etch-a-Sketch restart. You know, just shake it all up. We go, all right, guys, everyone, you're not allowed to sit next to people you sat next to before. Everyone mix it up, and then in about 40 years, we'll do it again.
Actually, well,
there's only one problem with that concept, though.
Well,
the thing is, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
I'm sorry. Well, they're never going to do that. One, because politicians that are already in the current system have a lot of money in it. So they're making a bunch of cash off of it, and they don't exactly want to give it up.
It's true though, but it hasn't like their Senate and the Congress got like the lowest opinion rates ever, and they're currently running the two least popular candidates ever.
Yep, and do you think they care?
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like you can't do an Etch-a-Sketch because every time you flip it over, shake, and then flip it back over, it still has the images that starts with "We the People" on it. The Constitution cannot be erased.
I'm not talking
we could amend it, but that's the thing. This is all mandated. The way we do the national elections is all mandated by the Constitution and the Electoral College and everything. And so the real problem is the way the Electoral College was set up was supposed to be a convenience in an era when you couldn't just get everybody's vote boxes around because they were strewn across the entire eastern seaboard of an entire continent. Yeah. We had further to take ballot boxes than if you had crossed from England to the eastern part of Germany, and that was in the 1700s. It just wasn't practical. So the idea was the people in the states would elect electors. The electors would go to a specific Congress. They'd all get together and say, blah, we vote this, and matter of convenience. But it was locked in because it was part of the Constitution. And the Electoral College then split it up to whoever gets X number of delegates wins, and that really kicked off the party system fighting over the delegates.
We have the same thing over here.
What with the Electoral College and everything?
Well, it's not.
It's some regions, some counties, and districts have, because the way it's worked out, have more vote share than everyone else. If that makes sense.
Oh, it's not like that here. The Electoral College is divided up differently, but the important thing is just that it breaks down because it's a matter of majority. It's not a matter of whatever your share is, you get that much representation, and it only applies to the presidential race for a single office. So, for example, if the Electoral College applied to Congress, you would have probably the Greens and the Libertarians having a few seats because they'd be represented by the proportion of the population that actually votes for them.
That was always the thing that confused me about America, because until recently I didn't realize that your system was more in common with our system in terms of electoral colleges. That thing is worded differently. There are some key differences. I'm just talking about general spitfire.
Third parties have such a hard time breaking out because the proportional representation concept doesn't really apply anywhere.
I always thought that it wasn't until Bush's second term that I realised, because I don't really follow, as I said back then, didn't bother with politics at all. The only time I was aware of this is when I saw Bush, George W. Old War second run, and I realised, they don't do it by popular vote. I would have thought because of how Americans talk about their democracy, I just assumed the presidency, because it was such a one or the other choice would be popular vote. I didn't realise he had colleges and stuff like that.
There is one thing, actually. One way you could actually improve the voting system in America is to get rid of fucking machines. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen a vote suddenly swing due to machines mistakenly voting for the other candidate.
It's not so much the machine. Yeah, it is the machines. The thing
No,
is,
you need to get rid of
the,
I mean, I'm just saying, they need to get rid of that. Paper, you need to do paper.
Yeah.
Like, machines are too much of a liability.
Yeah, because I was actually I was watching a documentary on this. They're saying, and to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if either party have done this before. But they're saying,
it's been done.
Even if the party isn't being dodgy, the way the machines are designed, anyone with a bit of technical know-how and a USB stick could just go in there, spend 45 seconds longer, and completely rig a ballot box, an electronic one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I remember watching a prominent instance of this, which was one of the most prominent ones was George Bush against Al Gore. Now, these guys were basically neck and neck, and it all actually came to Florida. And what happened in Florida was that, well, turns out some of the electronic voting machines were rigged.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what's my thing about the rigging. As I said, it doesn't even the way that the machines were designed, because they didn't have their ports blocked off.
Mm.
So someone who, as I said, bit of technical know-how could have just changed the machine, and they wouldn't have. And the program, I think, that they located on one of them was one that didn't change every vote, because I'd be too suspicious that it changed every third vote to go.
Yeah, exactly. Way, it was every third.
Every third vote for the other person went to the way of their person.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And there was one thing I actually. There's another thing I think they could do. They need to have voting done by an independent,
in America, that's going to be hard.
Yeah, but well, you know what? It needs to happen, because I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen fucking ballot stuffing. I mean, the Democrats were notorious for it.
Yeah.
Also, you think that's bad? I saw a poll thing, I think it was this year, actually, where they were taking a poll and one person erased someone's answer.
Yeah, see, that's the shit that both parties do. And I'm not sure about the Republicans now, because they seem to be more eager to get rid of their candidate. But the Democrats at the moment, certainly, because they've been caught ballot stuffing at one point.
Mm.
Well, if you're talking about that one video that's been going around, that's not actually.
Oh, no. I'm just talking about another instance. It was in. Okay. I think it was in one of the Dakotas that they got caught doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything about that, but here's the thing. Screwball things happen in American elections from time to time. The real problem is that nobody paid attention, because unless the spread was like less than 5% of the vote, it usually didn't matter. Unless it was extremely neck and neck, you would not see enough corruption accruing to actually tip things one way or the other. In Florida 2000, people were screaming about the possibility of voting machines being hacked, and a Democrat official actually got caught with a Diebold machine in the trunk of their car driving around. Nobody to this day knows what he was doing with it. You had intimidation at the polls. Black Panthers would show up at one, and people who were like pro-Republican Cubans showed up at another. Both groups harassing people, trying to get them to vote one way or the other. This kind of thing happens, but it's only when you get down to a total neck-and-neck race. Like in 2000, Gore did win the popular vote by 0.1%. I'm sorry, 0.1%. Let me get it straight.
That is. I'm sorry, but I keep saying this. America split up into two countries. You'd sound like you'd be happier.
It'd be a patchwork. For each of them.
Well, I mean, to be honest, you're already practically a continent anyway. I mean, it's like
we did try the splitting into two countries once before. It didn't work out.
Yeah, that didn't work out too well.
Hey, one side were quite cool with it. The other side weren't.
Yeah, they're the side that has the biggest army.
Yeah. they had a lot of guns.
Tends to go with the big army, but yeah.
But yeah, honestly, actually, I remember reading an article today. Speaking of which, about like America and how sort of destabilized it is. I remember reading an article today.
Well, America's
from Financial
stable
Times.
for the most part. There's just a few cities that seem to be a bit prone to rioting at the moment.
No, I mean in like the world stage. It was an article about how Western sort of economic values and Western sort of like the whole Western civilization seems to be collapsing now. Like, for example, you've got Europe, which has had like so many problems, like the whole Eurozone project being a complete fuck up, the whole migration issue, and well, you had the Brexit thing. Then you have in America where they have their own fucking problems with the election and how the fact that one of the candidates wants to start a world war, and they seem completely unprepared to deal with like China and stuff.
But you have to remember is that I think what is going to happen, and as I've always said, I don't think Brexit is the big scary thing that everyone thinks it is.
Oh no, not
honest.
Oh no!
I think I think what's happened is that it's gone too far one way, and now we're just making a correction.
Yeah.
The thing is to not allow the correction to go so far. We're back into Thatcherism again.
Yeah,
you're worrying about political whiplash.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, our current Thatcher isn't so bad. She's all right, actually.
I was going to say, what has actually been bothering me are the people over here who have been cheering on the idea of getting Hillary in, or I should say some of the Brits who've been sounding off saying she would make a wonderful American Thatcher. I'm like, I thought you people hated her.
The press hate her.
Depends where you are.
It depends on where you stand. The people who lived in the north...
Oh, they despise her.
She came in, they despise her because she literally took away... here's the thing. The thing is, the unions had become a massive problem, completely corrupt, run by mobsters. And they were supporting a failing industry that was requiring the UK government to give more money to prop up an industry that was failing. So taxpayer money was basically tossed away to keep people employed.
Mm-hmm.
What Thatcher did is that she got rid of that, so all the money basically went to London. London, which in current day is fantastically wealthy and sits there smugly gloating at how it's the best city in the country, while also hating Thatcher, even though she's the one that made them that way.
Idiots.
And that's why people in London, you will find, often hate the rest of the country.
Yeah, and to be honest, I can't blame people from other countries.
As Roy said one time, if you look at the Brexit map, it's like there's just a crater in the middle, and that crater is London.
Yeah,
and then you have Scotland.
Scotland is an interesting case.
Yeah,
Scotland's a little bit more. It's more nuanced than people would have you think.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I have heard quite a bit about it, but when I saw the heat map, it was like most of England and Wales are blue. Scotland was almost solid yellow, like from the border north, yellow. And then this big yellow crater where London was.
Basically, the parts of the parts. The thing is, there's this big, I think, misconception that the reason that Scotland decided to stay in the UK is because, and this is the amazing part of it, they said, well, you wouldn't be able to stay in the EU. And that's what was sold when the Brexit. That's what's sold. That's what was said has happened. What I really think is that the same thing that could have happened with Brexit. I think people don't like change, and I don't think the Scots hate the English as much as is pretended. It's mostly jiving. You don't really. It's like Scotland. We'll make fun of. We'll call them a bunch of skirt wearers, and we'll call them all sheep shaggers. But we wouldn't want them to go away. It's just banter. That's all it is. The
so when I call you that stuck up from across the pond, that's banter too.
Okay,
so
cool.
You know.
We'll go with that one. Go with that one.
But
the real reason is that the same thing. Brexit wouldn't have happened. It would have failed if the fearmongers just calmed down.
honestly,
if it wasn't for the whole thing of all the people that even considering Brexit are racist and they want to bring around the rebirth of the British National Party, which has been pretty much dead since people actually heard what they said.
Yeah, not only that, but also you have. Sorry to interrupt, but you also have the fucking idiot of David Cameron saying, "Oh, hey, if Brexit happens, we'll end up in World War III."
Yeah. Also, the thing is that the fact they just basically kept insulting everyone who's even considering it.
Yeah.
I think that really pushed people over.
The extreme rhetoric this last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both sides of the pond. It's just been like people just utterly intolerant of the idea of not getting their way.
Yeah, and it wasn't like that in the UK. Brexit was a first. I mean, you'll always get some people who are like hardcore Tory, hardcore Labour, but it wasn't until this last year when we had the either-or option.
Yeah,
because that's the nice thing about politics. If you don't like Labour or Tory, you can go with Green Party. You can go with UKIP if you want, or BNP if you're a Nazi. I'm sorry.
I would say Lib Dem, but to be honest,
Lib Dem were fine until they fucked up.
Yeah, they were fine. They were fine until Nick Clegg.
No, I will defend Nick Clegg. I will. What happened was...
I'd argue that what ruined that party was just like Nick Clegg's promises of college, like free tuition. That ruined them because that was impossible.
Yeah, well, it ruined them because of the following. They made the promise, and I believe the Tories led them to believe they could do that, when the coalition party was formed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Lib Dems, even though they've been around for years, were now actually prepared to be in power. Then they found themselves in power, and then these extremely experienced conservative politicians played them like fiddles.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel a little bit like Captain America here. Every now and again, going like, I get that reference.
Yeah.
I just pick up little snips and whatnot, like Nick Clegg.
Yeah, I will say though.
He was actually, and the reason I will defend Nick Clegg, because I'm sorry for interrupting, but the reason I do defend him is because when he failed, he stood up, apologised, and said, "We hope we will try not to make this mistake again." The first British politician to actually say that in many years.
That is true.
So that's why I defend him. He actually apologised for fucking up.
Yeah, and look what the student did.
You're almost utterly inaudible.
Yeah,
that's what you get here in America. You'd never get that. You'd almost never.
That's a Ken Bone moment over here.
Mm.
Refreshing clarity and honesty from a person, even when it may actually hurt them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what happened? All the students completely turned on them. The people that supported them destroyed them. Unrelenting, just trashing them. Anyone say on Lib Dem campus, any Lib Dem on campuses was screamed at, tore down all their signs, and then they all went Marxist and joined the Labour Party.
Yeah, and look how well that went.
It has not gone down well because they've all joined because they all think they're Marxists, but their leader is in fact a Trotskyist.
Yeah, and guess what happened? Now the Labour Party is completely politically unelectable.
Yes, because they're death threatening each other for being the wrong kind of socialist.
Yep, and I will give credit to Corbyn for this. He's managed to put himself in a position where now he's given himself a lot of personal power as the chief complainer to the British government.
Yeah,
I mean, not that much.
I've seen some of this on video over here, and I'd like to say that I'm enjoying the Schadenfreude, and I am to a certain extent, but it also makes me worry whether or not there's a possibility of some kind of reconciliation or a great awakening of people just realizing, maybe the kind of socialism we're arguing really only exists on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, but here's the thing. In doing so, in gaining all that personal power, he's fucked over his party.
He has.
Yep, and actually, you know what?
Corbyn, right?
Corbyn, yeah.
Yeah.
He has a very small select people, but just enough to keep him in prominent power. And he's completely screwed.
Just what a...
Yeah.
Sorry. No, you. Sorry, you were first.
No, carry on. I was interested.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. The War Council, just like back in the communist days with Trotsky.
Oh,
Because
God,
remember, he was the Minister for War, and he had his nice little Council of War. Yep. And look how well that did. I mean, unlike Trotsky, Corbyn can't make a militarized movement out of anything.
Hmm.
Hell, he can't even make a movement.
No, the thing about Trotsky is that it's completely unworkable. Isn't Trotskyism the one where you have to live in a almost constant state of rebellion and reform and
Pretty
revolution?
much, yeah. You have to constantly rebel against any form of government, including, even though it's not outright stated, it's basically implied that it's also your own.
Yeah, it's hyper-Darwinism. It is hyper-Darwinism.
Yeah.
It's also,
I'll be right back.
That's what worries me. I'm just seeing more and more instances where somebody is willing, just over the most basic disagreements, to resort to violence and threats.
yeah,
And I don't just mean the idea of violence being a threat. I mean actually like reaching out and smacking somebody.
yeah.
I've been called a racist for less. I got. All right, this is the story. I'm working. We've got our lunch break, and I decided to. I'm like, guys, should we? I kind of went ahead to Taco Bell. You guys want to go too? The other guys are like, sure, whatever. I'm standing in line. I feel something not on my calf and not on my foot. So I'm like, that's really weird. I turn around, got a puzzled look on my face. There's a kid there with a purse, and her mom nearly instantly calls me a racist.
Just because it was a reflex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, you're not supposed to do that to white people. I'm like, Mom, ma'am, you don't understand. Apparently, the guy I was with, he knew her personally. He's like, don't talk to her. She's crazy. And I was actually just going to stand there in front of the whole shop and just, I was going to be extremely mean to her.
Yeah, kind of. Well, someone who you know is going to call you a racist, that's a pretty bold claim. I know that word gets flung around so easily. It's a really horrible accusation. It is really genuinely a bad thing.
There are few worse things to be called.
Yeah. I've always said this. In America, you've got this weird thing where they're trying to court the black vote, which is... Let's go into racial politics here, guys. This is just a random thought. They should have, when it comes to this Trump thing, because I think Trump is dead in the water now, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, because I think the guy's a complete disaster, but, I thought
it was dead in the water from the get-go, personally. But I have supported...
You're dead again.
You're down a tunnel.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
Much.
I personally thought he was dead in the water, but I decided to support him anyway.
Oh, what's this?
The thing is that people don't really support. From what I can tell, people don't support Trump. He is the walking protest vote.
Well, it's like people. It depends, like who you are. From what I've seen, some people see him as the harbinger for change. Some people just see him as an enormous protest vote against the establishment, and others just like a good meme.
Yeah, but it's not so much that I don't think the change is something he'll bring about. I think he's supposed to be. I think I've said this before. They got two options with him. Either they will see people go, "Oh wow, Trump won. Oh God, is that how bad we've become?"
Yes.
Or the politicians will go, "We'll write this one out, and then we'll go see what happens if you don't vote for us." It could go one of two ways on that one.
Well, this is the thing. You're right. It could go either of those ways, and I actually kind of predicted that last year. But losing to Trump is a practical failure. It's not. They're trying to write it out right now. They're hoping that they can just ride through this storm of public anger at both parties, and they want to say, "Well, they're angry at Trump." A lot of people are angry at Trump. They're also angry at the GOP that nominated him and put up such crappy candidates in opposition to him. that's the one inescapable they can't get away from. It's like, oh, he's a terrible candidate. Yeah, how to get past all yours? So
Yeah.
they either have, and since they're still in a competitive environment with one another, each party has to back up and go like, okay, how did we let this happen? How did it come to this? I think it'll break one of two ways. Either there will be a greater crackdown on how the parties operate internally, trying to plug things to prevent another WikiLeaks, trying to rig the primaries even deeper and more. They'll probably just go more openly saying, these are the rules. You have to abide by them. Those are unfair. We don't care, kind of thing. And saying, well, you're stuck with us.
Mm.
But I also think that reaction will engender an even bigger backlash down the road. You might see both parties have their membership leaving in droves and trying to find alternatives.
Mm. If that was the case, the Libertarians had better find someone better than Gary Johnson.
They're better placed. I may have mentioned it on this show before or on another one too, that the Libertarians' biggest problem is that their elite cadre, the ones that are pretty much in charge of their party machinery, don't let better candidates run.
Mm.
If you are not fully on board with total legalization of all drugs across the counter, including PCP, and I'm not kidding, they will go so far as to sue you. I've been on the receiving end of that myself. When I ran for office, I was looking at running. I did not go to the Reform Party right away. I first went through the Republicans, talked to them. They were very nice, but they had a better candidate available. I went to the Democrats, and their litmus test was, do you believe that the Second Amendment guarantees a right to the people to bear arms? I said, yes. They said, get out. That was their litmus.
Holy shit.
It was literally that quick. Then I went to the Libertarians, and I had some nice discussions with most of the people down lower, and they referred me up to their county chair, who was essentially in charge of whether or not you ran for, an actual office in the state. And he's like, well, so you're totally for drug legalization, marijuana, cocaine, PCP. And I was like, I'm for legalization of medical marijuana to start and industrial hemp. These are things that aren't harmful in any way to society. And I think that this would be a great way to start the conversation. No, absolutely not.
Oh, I see. They're basically, instead of, they're not interested in foreplay at all then. They want to go straight for the, yeah.
No. The people down below, the middle people and the people on the grassroots, the folks that you'll meet at the table, they'll have a lovely discussion with you, and they're open-minded. It's when you get up to that top strata that they just lock down and say, no, we will block you ourselves, we'll run our own candidates, we'll defund anything that the party would give you, and we'll also sue you in court, which is why I was threatened. I was threatened with all of that by none other than John Hancock, I'll name the son of a bitch, who was at the time the Maricopa County chair for Arizona.
Can I just point out, Libertarians who want to sue you for an opinion or an ideal are basically not very Libertarian.
No, not a bit.
It's like when Ron Paul basically ran to the United Nations because they wouldn't let him have a website.
Mm-hmm.
Someone got Ron Paul, wasn't it? Someone got RonPaul.com or something, and they were fans of his, and he wanted to sue them.
Oh yeah.
That's stupid.
Because they wouldn't just give him their domain.
Yeah, that's also kind of Ron Paul's problem. He'd be a lot better of a candidate if he could clamp down on doing stupid stuff every now and again.
Yeah, I mean, it would be appreciated for him not to do anything retarded, but unfortunately, we can't count on that.
That's politics in a nutshell.
Oh shit! I'm nearly done with this bottle. Fuck.
I think you'll find. I think you'll find this is why an awful lot of the Libertarians that I actually kind of like are the people who are turning up to the RNC.
Oh yeah,
because they're people who basically look at the the Libertarian Party and go, all they care about is weed.
Well, alas, yeah, that's pretty much it for the top, and it's not just weed. I mean, it goes all the way to PCP. Their attitude is that they're absolutely about freedom. Ideologically about freedom. And that means the freedom to do anything with your body whatsoever, including putting anything into it, and that means PCP over the counter. Any ideology taken to the extreme gets retarded.
But as I said a few times, it's like, I think everyone agrees the Tea Party was a bit of a flop, a bit of a disaster.
Not really.
I don't really honestly.
They
I know practically nothing about the Tea Party other than
Whenever
Just
I've come across
some stuff
someone,
happened.
whenever I've come across someone from the Tea Party, it always seems to be they claim to be libertarians, but it comes off as ultra conservatism.
Well, here's the thing. I was also into the Tea Party because I was looking for a third party solution. Always have been.
Yeah.
And what they were was essentially the very first crack of rebellion in the GOP. Instead of being hugely grassroots, they were more organized. And they did win a number of electoral victories. They got people elected to Congress. And this meant that the GOP was forced to deal with them. And what the GOP did was step on their necks. And pretty much said,
not very nice.
It was a miniature. Imagine going to a family reunion where somebody figured out that the Hatfields and McCoys are actually related.
I don't know that reference.
Hatfields and McCoys, famous feuding families that shot at each other for a couple hundred years in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. How about the Campbells and any other Scots?
Okay, I get that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Or Romeo and Juliet families.
Yes, it just pile them all together in the same room and say, okay, you're all the same clan. You're actually all related. Yeah, you guys got in the way of our candidate. Yeah, well, you got in the way of ours. Yeah, well, you slandered ours. Yeah, well, you said ours called so-and-so the N-word. Yeah.
Yours is racist. Yours is xenophobic.
It is Capulets. It is Capulets versus the Montagues, then.
Yes, very much so.
All right.
But the thing is, they did have an effect. They did change the tone in the party. They did force the party hierarchy to at least notice there was disquiet. And they did get people elected to actually have some sort of effect. And some of those people were more moderate than actual GOP mainliners. So it was not just this far right radical group that wanted to get everybody out of the UN or whatever. There are actually quite a few legitimate reformers in the bunch, and I know because I recognize some of them from the Reform Party. I also went to a number of their rallies, and this was a part of the problem that I had with the propaganda that was being run against them in the media. You always heard that it was about a bunch of radical crazies who wanted to deconstruct the government and so on. But every rally that I went to was polite. There you would have black keynote speakers. It's totally racist. No, everybody's cheering these people.
I never.
Passionate.
I know that.
Granted, it's overwhelmingly white group, but that's true of Republicans in general.
The reason I'm saying this is that I'm not saying that the Tea Party were not victims of bad press, because let's be honest, it was this is a story. YouTube channel, the Yankee Marshal. This guy is a pro-guns YouTube channel, and he is basically a leftist. He is completely liberal, but he is pro-gun. He's pro-second. He's a big pro-Second Amendment kind of guy, and he said, he would support the Democrats if they would shut up about the gun stuff, but they don't. That's his big problem. And he said that one day he was saying they were having a gun rally, and every year they go up to this gun rally, and then on the news they would say that all these guys are a bunch of racist, white supremacist, right-wing nutters. And they were like, oh, that's not fair. Then they found 2 years later, their gun rally, which is all about, basically, it was a really chill event, apparently, pot smoking and guns. That was what they were into. And he said that one day, he just looked around and went, wow, there's Confederate flags everywhere now, and Bible readings on stage.
Oh.
This is not what we started off with. And he put it down to basically the media, said to people, basically did a dog whistle saying, hey, racists, white supremacists, these guys are your friends. And they turned up and they infected it and they turned it into, it's like they turned it into.
Yes, in other words, it's like, hey, you can expect to find friends over here, like minds, and people would swarm in, and everybody else is like, well, we're fucking leaving. We don't want to be with you guys.
Basically, yeah. And he says he still turns up because he wants to be the guy who is always like, I believe what this started as. But I think that's what happened with the Tea Party. They may have been whatever they were. Hulk Hogan, Tea Party guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let me point out one thing. Just to put this in perspective real quick.
Okay.
I went to one big rally, which was at one of our classic baseball diamond parks that we have out here.
Mm.
And it was just packed. There were thousands of people out there, most of them elderly. And they had come in they actually dressed for the event. You had people wearing their Sunday finest, and they brought out lounge chairs, and people were making lemonade and passing around, little American flags and things. And it was very grassroots, very down to earth, very, I have to say, 1950s Americana. And I don't mean that in any negative sense. It was very Norman Rockwell sort of look to it. And a couple of speakers came out. They spoke from the pitcher's mound, and everybody, applied applause, cheering, and so forth. Nothing wild, nothing crazy. One guy with a bunch of pamphlets started walking around, bothering people, trying to get them riled up about some New World Order crap. One dude. Guess who Channel 13, who covered the event, interviewed?
Yes.
The one guy.
Retards.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not retards. They're not.
All
They're
that was
not.
on the media.
I don't think they're retards. I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Oh, I know. It's just I can still call them retarded.
I don't know why people try to force division where it doesn't want. Where it isn't. You know what I mean?
If you at least had a small group or something, but it was one guy.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. You can still be retarded. You could still be smart, but you could still act retarded. That's what I think. And they acted retarded. Actually, you know what? I doubt they're fucking smart either, because...
No, they're not. They know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're going for scares.
They're poisoning wells.
Yep, and that's going to end badly for them in the long run.
Let's just say about the whole thing about...
retard.
Yeah, so what's about the Ken Bone thing, and they tried to completely poison the well on him.
They tried to completely poison on the well on a guy who...
Nicest guy!
Yeah, he was a fucking nice guy, asked a decent question.
It wasn't it was more the fact that they didn't want a player in the game. That's the problem.
They didn't want someone who going to change in the U.S.
You can't be undecided at this point. You can't be neutral on this moving train.
He represents something. Well, he's like, oh, okay. He represents an actual change, and just still be undecided. You can give ordinary questions, but of course, the mainstream media with their dumb fuck viewers on both sides, mind you.
Yep.
You have to remember, most people don't actually give two craps about politics, and they trust the news. That's the problem. Most people are too busy trying to sort their own shit out.
Yeah.
It's only us. It's only us who are people who are obsessive nutters. Lost Apple. People who are obsessive nutters that care about this stuff.
Well, to be fair, I'm just find this fucking hilarious. I just see it as more of a comedic thing rather than something to actually analyze. But it also makes me a bit sad too, because Ken Bone, in my opinion, is something that I think we've been sorely lacking. In my opinion,
I don't think he's been lacking. I think he was one that snuck through.
Well, it's more that we've been lacking someone that was an undecided voter who asked a question about an energy policy.
It wasn't just energy policy. It was caring about jobs, and I think.
Well, yeah. Of course, yeah. That's how it would affect jobs. And to be honest, we've been missing something like that. We've been missing, people that were asking important questions, okay, what's your energy policy, and how will this affect American jobs?
Mm-hmm.
That shit's important. But of course, the media is more interested in character assassination.
Oh, before we move on,
they don't like that.
Before we move on to the next topic, we got some in the chat. Price, vote for Trump and kick the Mexicans out. They took our jobs. Yes, they did.
Who's in the chat? I want to see them.
They did. They took all our. They took all our British jobs.
Oh
God! I had when I was
Price.
Yeah, when I was working at a company, someone was actually sat at a table. Basically, this person was the dumbest motherfucker in the world. And he says, all these people coming over here, taking our jobs. And they're thinking, they're working janitorial. How badly did you do at school? If they're overqualified for your jobs.
Yeah, we have the similar issue over here in the States is people will argue that people coming here illegally, they're just taking jobs Americans don't want. And that's true for the pay that's being offered. Because if somebody's an illegal alien, they have no one they can complain to if they're severely underpaid. I remember applying for one job as a waiter in a brand new bar that was going to be opening up. And it was very clearly with a very strong Hispanic vibe to it. And the manager said, I will pay you $40 a week for full time, 40 hours, $1 an hour. And you'll make any extra money off of tips. I was like, okay, well, you know that if I don't actually make the tips, you're still required to pay me minimum wage, right? And he says, no, I'm not. And if you don't like it, you can get out of here, because he was going to hire illegals exclusively.
Yeah, but in the UK, it's not quite like that because we don't have the illegals. I think that's the key difference between the UK and the US, is that
it's much harder to get.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
and
swim that channel.
It's much harder to sneak in, and it's even doubly harder to go undetected because not a big country. Let's be honest, we're not very big. You've got lakes bigger than us. So
yeah, I mean, and hell, look at also you have bigger crime rates than us. Hell, you could just take the city of Detroit or just Chicago, and that'll overshadow the entirety of the UK, to be honest.
And Apple's back.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. My Samsung is nearly 2 years old, and it's kind of a piece of shit.
At least it didn't explode.
Oh yeah,
for my life, it's very warm.
Oh, the battery might explode.
I haven't given the battery a good whack yet.
I tried that. I tried turning it off and on. It's fine though. It hasn't exploded yet. We'll worry about it when it explodes.
Oh yeah, and also speaking of politics, a GOP headquarters.
I wanted to continue on this little train of thought here.
Okay.
The one point I wanted to point out is that the difference between people saying they're taking our jobs in the UK and they're taking our jobs in the US isn't a one-to-one comparison. That was my basic point here.
Yeah.
If you live in the UK and you've got an immigrant that's taking your job away from you, that basically means you must be really thick, because basically
you're not able to compete with that person.
Yeah, because this person barely speaks the language.
Yeah.
And they're on the same level. That is not an indictment of them.
Yeah. I have to say, I mean, I remember when people got really pissed at, what was it, Byron Burgers? Because they had to work, because the Home Office need to do this, or we'll have to shut down your business because we think you have like a lot of illegal immigrants like working at your station, not station, sorry, your business. And well, they essentially did this setup, and lots of people got pissed at the business for doing it. But you know, one, they were essentially just complying with the law, which so you can't really blame them for doing that. And two, hell, the Home Office practically told them. So you know what? If you really want to blame them, you hyper-liberal twats, then just go to the Home Office. But of course, it's against the government and you know, we all know how much of a pussy you are.
I think the whole problem is that you get these people who, when it comes to, for example, the current Syrian refugee thing, and all the people that keep saying refugees welcome, these are not the people who are going to have to be housed anywhere near them.
Yeah, I mean, hell, these are people that live in the heart of fucking London.
The most expensive place in the country.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I can't fucking talk since I live here, but I think, you know...
At least you're aware.
Like, I'm aware that, one, it's absolutely retarded that we just openly let a bunch of people that we have no fucking idea whether they're, you know, whether they have any affiliations with, like, a terrorist network or anything like that. Or, hell, even if they're able to work. Like, you know what, I'm I don't mind letting people in who one just are capable. So like they can hold down a job and they can actually do something. That's perfectly fine. But the vast majority of those people can't.
Well, as I said, the people that we have in now, because we got a huge amount of, obviously, what the Indians and Polish are the other big moving in groups.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, Polish car wash, best car wash my car could possibly go to.
Yeah, the Polish workers that I met, they are wonderful. They do their jobs to the utmost efficiency.
And they get about 4 or 5 cigarettes while they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't even need to pay them. Just give them cigarettes, and they'll be like, "Hey, no problem, comrade. I'll be able to do that just fine for you."
That's what I should do.
Yeah, get it right.
Gura.
Nice try.
Yeah, actually, in terms of Russians, it's vodka. But yeah.
To comment, Dedrick Price.
Best vodka is Polish vodka.
The RAF, so that wasn't the Queen, that was the government basically giving the RAF rights to shoot down Russian planes that were shooting at them.
I was going to bring this up.
That was a year ago.
That was a year ago, and no RAF plane has even had a sniff of even thinking about shooting on a Russian plane.
Thank God, because if anyone fucking does, they basically cause World War fucking III.
Yes.
You know what? If they're shooting at you, okay, fair enough, shoot back. But if you believe that you're being attacked, what the fuck? Who fucking wrote that?
The Russian
RAF pilots, I have to give absolute credit for. If they have been threatened before now, they've got to be the coolest characters in the sky, because they're essentially saying, no, if I have to take a missile to avoid World War III, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but we've lost no one in years.
Yeah, you haven't, and that's good too. But just those guys have got to have some steel going on in the spine.
And the RAF has some really good pilots, and we're generally quite fortunate for that. We're famous for it, even.
We don't know. The only time we've actually put them into effect recently was against Iraq, and frankly, they had a paper aeroplane. And
pretty much.
And the one thing that the Iraqis had was ground fire, massed ground fire.
Yeah, massed ground fire, but nothing else really.
I'm just saying that the Iraqi Air Force basically was a paper aeroplane with harsh language misspelled on it. That's all they had against us.
Harsh language, and just underneath it, a picture of a WMD.
they had sent most of
that they took from Shutterstock.
remember, before things kicked off, they sent most of their surviving Air Force to Iran because they knew that they had no chance of preserving it. I guess they were hoping to get it back, which was kind of dumb. If you're going to send it anywhere, send it to Syria. I don't know.
But honestly, though, I will say...
or a picture of dick butt. I like that idea.
I will say, I still find this rule, even with as cool as the RAF pilots are, I still find this rule absolutely retarded. Because even with how cool they are, it only takes one pilot to fuck up and cause World War III.
Yep.
I mean, let's be honest. It would be World War III.
Let's be honest. No one except Hillary Clinton is even bothering to saber rattle at Russia. No one.
Yeah, actually,
I would like to.
The worst thing that we did as a nation was when they moved into another country, we shook our finger at them. That's all we did.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
The real problem I have with this, to be perfectly honest, is Hillary Clinton is coming from a position of somebody who, in a very hotly contested race, is trying to get the media to smooth over and gloss by very embarrassing emails by claiming, oh, these were stolen by Russian intelligence. She's trying to turn the Russians into a bugaboo, and to do that, it's like that doesn't fly with anybody unless you throw in, oh, they're a threat to American democracy. They're doing this to overthrow the U.S. election by giving aid to Trump. So she has to make that charge to have any value. But in making that charge, she presents the Russians as a Soviet-era threat, as an existential threat to American democracy. And then she came out, but the thing is, she probably could have held off right there, but she had to say during the debates she's going to no-fly the Russian Air Force in Syria. The problem is she could, just through sheer braggadocio and the fact that she's incompetent. I mean, look at her record as Secretary of State. Even regarding the Russians, she totally misread them. She doesn't understand them. She couldn't even get somebody at the State Department to write the correct word on a friggin' button for the reset. Instead, it was overcharge, and look where we're at. And she is in the position where she might, just through braggadocio, which is what she's accusing Trump of doing, walk us into a war. She says Trump, oh, he's so crazy, he's so full of testosterone and braggadocio, he might just, get pissed off and hit the nuclear button. Well, look what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about this. Why the fuck would you do it with Russia? I mean, yeah, their economy isn't so good, but they make up for it in military power. I mean, have you seen those fucking guys and the amount of military expansion they've been doing recently? Not only but they
I
also
think that she believes that she can get them to blink. They're not going to, because she doesn't understand the situation there.
That fucking retard.
I don't think she understands why Russia's even there in the first place.
Okay, I'm going to say this, Gamer. You have said the word retard at least 70 times now.
Well, yeah, you have to admit, it is utterly...
This is very retarded.
Hang on, we got a question from the chat. How does it feel to know if Hillary wins, she will cause World War III? Funny.
To be honest,
because it's going to be the love and peace people claiming this, and they're going to end up starting the war. Yeah,
it's like the whole friendship and tolerance people, but they back the wrong fucking horse.
Oh, we're so tolerant, but hey, we get the feeling that you're intolerant, so we're going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. No. Actually, I should mention that one of the other reasons why I'm saying retard a lot is because one, I've had a few drinkies.
Yes, I know. You've had a few
drinks. I did have a bit more than beer, but
I know cocaine.
Some vodka.
You know what? You guessed right. I did have some vodka.
Just remember when it comes to the Brony vote, according to Rick Wilson, GOP strategist, the Bronies are with Trump.
Well, actually, that makes sense because apparently...
all the undesirables of the world. All the people that are wrong.
Yeah, that
makes sense. If you have an anime avatar...
Yeah.
You wild, crazy people who identify with a Japanese schoolgirl. You're all for Trump.
Oh,
hey,
especially Madoka Magica or Hazumi.
Speaking of Trump, I just saw this just now. For those who don't know, there's an anime going on called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, this is the English dub of this is currently airing on Toonami about 10 hours ago. It had its first English dub episode.
Is this television?
Yes, it is. Toonami's now on Adult Swim.
I don't use old technology.
Well, and let me just put it like this. Basically, Dio, the main antagonist of this season,
sorry, if I can pause you here. David Prince, stop it! You're depressing me.
Well, let me put it like this.
Stop saying accurate stuff. Go away. Stay there. Love you.
Well,
carry on.
Here's the thing. So maybe airing JoJo on Toonami wasn't the best idea because now you have a whole bunch of brain-dead people comparing the main antagonist to Trump, mainly because he stole. Keep in mind, this is set in Victorian England.
Mm-hmm.
So Dio, who's an absolute asshole, stole a kiss from the main protagonist's
girlfriend, pretty much.
Holy Diver was a good song, though.
Pretty much, he stole his first kiss. And as a result, you have a whole bunch of people comparing him to Trump. Yeah. I mean, I have it here.
You've got an accusation, Gamer. Why are you using a Mac and you are gay?
Not for long.
He is working his way
Wait, which
away
one? The
from
Mac or the gay? The Mac or the gay gamer?
I got this Mac 6 years ago, and it was for Christmas. It was nothing to do with me. It's not my fault. And I currently have a bunch of PC ports right next to me, and I'm just waiting for the rest of them to build it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to stay gay, though?
Unfortunately, for now.
I'm just saying, if you get a screen share and you've got a Mac...
I go to take.
I'm fully aware. Think of this as repentance.
No, okay. Don't worry. Next week you won't have this problem anymore. This will be rectified.
Well, hopefully next week, because that's when I'm getting most of the parts by then. But yeah, so I've got most of it so far. And also, I think I know who this is.
Sorry.
If it makes you feel better, the graphics card I've got, which just came on Monday, is a Titan X.
Okay, so what are we talking about with Dio and Holy Diver here?
Well, basically, people are comparing him to Trump.
Is this a time when Star Wars came out, they thought Kylo Ren was commentary on men's rights?
Yeah, this is pretty much it. See, this is the problem I have with these assholes.
Kylo Ren is a gamer.
Yeah, this is the problem. I can't stand these assholes for one reason alone. They compare absolutely anything to politics.
Well, they apply anything to their personal politics.
Yeah, but
it's like
it makes me fucking annoyed because this shit is one of the main reasons why why I find fucking liberals so fucking infuriating.
It helps me.
Do you find me infuriating?
No, I mean, when I say, I'm actually going to say traps are gay, well, to be honest, you still gay, well, you know what? Fuck you, Dedrick Price. Oh, fuck you.
Good rebuttal. Fuck you.
It gives me an idea of why people hate...
I'll tip those lemony asses over and just, do the business. Like, I'll take this 750 milliliter bottle and shove it up your ass.
Start being triggered by the chat.
Also,
chat, please trigger him more.
I will say, traps are somewhat gay. It depends on what kind of trap you get.
It's a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, just
traps are just gay.
Carry on. Continue your thoughts.
I was just okay. You had finished. Sorry.
I finished, and don't worry.
It reminds me of how it gives me a better idea of why people hate it when bronies bring ponies into everything.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, we're talking about JoJo's Adventure. Okay, which one is Princess Luna? Shut the god damn it.
We're talking One Punch Man. Okay, which one's Saitama?
I mean, like, which one? Like, when they look at a bad guy or something like that, they'll say, "Oh, that's Trump."
Because on the most superficial basis, like those tweets were showing.
Yeah,
I mean, there was when Captain America: Civil War came out earlier this year, and the first article that I read about said the following: "I liked Captain America until he was a libertarian douchebag." It was like, what?
What?
Then I watched the film and it was like, what?
Where's the libertarian douchebag part come in?
Captain America is a Christian conservative character. That's what he is.
He's a 1940s American patriot. That's, cut directly from that cloth.
Yeah. That doesn't make him a bad guy. It just means, and when things weren't going the way he thought, he went against it. He has a set of values. To be honest, one thing I will say about Captain America Civil War, I know it was with the comic books, but I thought the roles, in terms of how the films worked, were wrong.
Yeah.
The original comics were pretty awful, actually.
Oh, big talk.
Strong
words.
They are strong words, but I want to hear your opinion on it.
I've actually read parody comics about it where they just paraphrased what the characters were saying, but essentially it boiled down to Iron Man saying, "Look, with great power comes great responsibility, and that means the federal government can draft you at any time. You are by the dint of having powers, you lose some of your rights as an American citizen." To which Captain America is saying, "Screw that. what bothered me about it, really, the worst part was when they had a interview. There's some girl interviewing him on TV, and she's saying, you couldn't possibly understand America because you don't know what a tweet is, or words to that effect. That's the fact that I don't know what app you use online to communicate with somebody has nothing to do with what I know about freedom of speech.
Oh, get wrecked.
It has nothing to do. Yeah, I have to say I agree with that. I honestly backed Captain America with this because I thought, he was a sensible guy. It's not like he would willingly, go against like the government, especially considering he was a soldier for it. Like
he's not anti-government.
No, he isn't. He just stands up for like the rights of every American.
Yeah, but that was my whole point. It was like I'm looking strictly at this through the lens of someone who, looking at the characters that were developed through the Marvel universe that they put into the movie version, and through all their behavior, it's like, shouldn't Tony Stark be the one rebelling and Captain America be the one siding?
Well, honestly, yeah, I honestly thought both of them would be on the same page. That's what I thought.
Well,
the writers of the original comics that it's all based on pretty much went ham-fisted. They more or less wanted to take the government position and present Captain America, generally speaking, as a straw man.
But
no, I'm just saying is that in the existence of Tony Stark and Captain America within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, yeah, kill yourself. I said it. I'm just saying.
You'll be killing myself.
Yeah, I'm just saying that throughout the character's behavior, Tony Stark and Captain America were behaving oppositely of how they've been presented up until that point.
Yeah, I mean.
Also, if they had a 20-minute chat, they could have avoided all the problems.
Yeah, honestly, I thought with the film, it's one of the problems with Joss Whedon's style of film. He tends to over commentate. I mean,
no, it wasn't Joss Whedon.
No. I mean, in the sense of how the film was done.
Yeah.
It's a typical hallmark of any Joss Whedon film where.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Joss Whedon film.
No, he did Civil War.
He didn't.
He
did Avengers. He did Avengers 2. He went horror cork at Jurassic World and then vanished. That's what he does.
Oh.
Joss Whedon did not do anything. Joss Whedon only did the first two. That's why Black Widow suddenly started behaving like Buffy in the Avengers films.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I have to say, that's interesting because when I watched Civil War, I immediately thought, oh, okay, this is a Joss Whedon film because of just it has a lot of the tropes he would normally use. Who directed?
He did kind of set the tone for the series.
Oh, that would make
sense. That's about it.
Well, and because it had a hallmark of Joss Whedon, which it was one of the problems I had with. Did anyone watch Cabin in the Woods?
Love that film.
Yeah, I thought it was a great film, but one of the problems.
I think Joss Whedon has amazing. I love Joss Whedon as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I wish he would shut up about his political commentary, though.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm not saying he shouldn't talk about it. I'm just saying, dude, you're such a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought as a filmmaker, he is a wonderful. Although,
and he actually wrote, and actually his version of not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, actually did a disservice because in the Captain America films, Black Widow behaves one way. And when Joss Whedon's directing, her personality completely changes.
Exactly.
And she becomes a nerd fantasy, falling in love with her. Oh, you don't like violence. That's why I like you so much. And then she talked about, and then it went into a weird diatribe about how she can't have children and she thinks she's a monster.
Yeah, honestly,
thanks, Joss.
Yeah, with Whedon, the problem with Whedon's film style, in my opinion, at least when it comes to his writing. He's a good director. He knows how to make really nice shots, especially when it comes to Cabin in the Woods. I thought that was a fucking great idea. Mm-hmm. And honestly, he has a really bad tendency to over commentate. If that makes any sense. When you, especially when it comes to like political issues.
In his more recent stuff, yes.
Well, I mean, even in Cabin in the Woods, even something like that, he over commentates on shit.
I've not seen it for a couple of years, so I'll have to rewatch it and see it again.
Yeah,
because...
he because remember, it was sort of like a government-run program they were doing, or at least like a sort of shadow part of it in the film. But he does like he talks a little too much about it in the sense that it comes off as bitchy, if that makes any sense. And that's the problem. A lot of his like any discussion of politics in one of his films comes off as really bitchy. And
he
too long.
He's
exactly.
one of the brand of Hollywood politicians who feels like they have to change the world through their work, and that means badgering their audience until they agree.
Yeah, and I fucking
that's why I like that. That's why I love Freddie Mercury. He actually came out and said, "I don't want to save the world. I don't want to make messages. I just want to make songs that resonate with people." And from an openly bisexual gay icon of Iranian descent, born in Zanzibar, living in Britain, and a British icon, I think he had the right idea. Don't try to change the world, just try to be a good person in it.
Lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of the things I fucking despise about just these general, like, any sort of justice warrior or anyone like that, anyone that just has some sort of god complex on the fact that, oh hey, I'm an influential person in Hollywood or anything like that. I can change the world just through this. Look,
to
be honest,
comes great responsibility.
And that is great power comes great responsibility is the dumbest quote ever. I'll tell you why. You know SciShow? Are you aware of the SciShow on YouTube?
I'm a little bit, yeah.
Oh, SciShow, yeah.
Yeah, Hank Green is by far the most insufferable cunt ever. And I'll tell you why. He actually sends open letters to YouTubers who he thinks has the wrong opinion.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then says, hey, just because, he says, because you have a huge amount of followers and a huge amount of people watching you, it's your responsibility to put the right ideas in people's heads.
Yeah, I see that shit from Onesian too, and also remember how much of an asshole he is.
Onision is just basically a selfish asshole who wants to bang underage girls.
He's always been.
Yeah.
You find that the origin for this mentality comes from a lot of the same classes at college that teach basic concepts of social justice as they see it. And this goes all the way to journalism. I've run into many journalists who have the belief, because this is how they were trained and taught, that their position as a journalist brings with it the need to change society in the correct direction.
Look, that's the problem with journalists.
Yeah.
Like, the problem is that, you know what, you're a journalist, you talk about the news. And that's all you do. You don't have your own personal slant. That's all you do.
You could have. The thing is, I'm okay with people having their own personal slant.
Yeah, I don't mind if they were personally.
I'm just saying, but they should. I mean, we're going to go with. I'm going to take Gamergate as an example here. How many pieces I've read that said Gamergate is a uprising movement to remove women from video games under the guise of ethics. And they don't say this is their opinion. They are stating it as a fact.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And then they don't present anything to support the opinion. They will say, essentially, it's rumors. It's I heard from somebody. I know somebody who knows somebody, sort of thing. The problem really is that we've gotten very far away from what the gold standard used to be, and that was that there was opinion, there was news, and these were not supposed to meet.
I don't mind them having their own opinion pieces, as retarded as some of them may be. Yeah, like I've seen on something like The Guardian. I mean, as we've seen, as Flipso, you and I have seen, some of those are absolutely mind-bendingly stupid.
Yep. As I will
Yeah.
say, I read an article from The Guardian in 2010. 2010.
Yeah.
And you know, I thought, like, where did this newspaper go wrong?
Yeah, it was
You were-
like it was from Manchester.
You were a completely respectable, liberal, but honest news outlet.
Yeah.
And now you're a joke.
Yeah. I mean,
This
it's
was
just like it's just like
This was just
Tumblr.
6 years ago.
It's just
There-
like Tumblr genders, really. I mean,
Well,
with how sorry if
there
I'm
was,
derailing this a bit, but
Well, no, it was basically that they were not misrepresenting anyone. They just said, in my opinion, and stuff like that. And I look at it now when they have what's her name from Jezebel, that woman, that's right activist.
fuck, there's a lot of them.
Clementine Ford?
Oh yes.
Lindy West, that was her name.
Oh no.
All right.
Now they have Lindy West writing for them, and Jessica Valenti, and it's like, where did this go wrong? Well, I know where it went wrong because the former editor for The Guardian did a piece saying what happened is that back in the day, when the internet world hit, they started losing readership because their hard copy sales went down.
Yeah.
So what they did is that they recruited people who they knew were not very good, but would get hate links, hate hits, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
People who just read their articles to see what stupid shit they came up with this time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's now even that's failing because now they're begging for money.
Yep.
well, David Auerbach did a really good breakdown of what happened with The Guardian and why they did, because they were running for a very long time on an endowment known as the Scott Trust.
Yeah, and now that Scott left because I can add into this. Scott was basically used to be a former chief editor of The Guardian, and ever since then he set up a trust that would continually feed money into The Guardian. But his politics was something they found disagreeable, so they had this internal civil war of sorts. So that's why this happened.
Well, okay. The thing that I'm trying to get across that David Auerbach covered was that for the long, essentially the Guardian was stable as long as it was maintained by some advertising, in addition to the interest that was generated by the Scott Trust. In other words, they didn't burn down the basic amount itself. They only went through the interest and made up the rest through, like he was saying, through regular sales and advertising. But when that began drying up, they began burning the Scott Trust, and they were like, well, this means that we're on a fuse. This is going to burn out eventually. How do we get more money? And that's when they went into more clickbaity stuff and saying, well, we need to harness the internet and somehow make it pay, while at the same time not doing ads on the internet.
Yeah, and also, not only that, but they were also just don't make their content any fucking better, and also started going subscription-based in some things.
And they hired Lindy West.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad.
Accepted her as a contributor at the very least.
Yeah,
You're
honestly
essentially seeing a
glad.
series of decisions made in desperation.
I'm honestly glad that they're going to die, because you know what? They had a good run, but then they went to utter shit.
I don't know. I don't really want Breitbart to be there.
I'll tell you what. I like a lot of the stuff that Breitbart has done simply because they've been willing to break stories nobody else would touch, including Gamergate. They helped, but yes, it's very clear where their biases are. I don't like their biases any more than I like those of The Guardian, even though I tend to swing more in the direction of the right than I do the left. I want honest, straightforward reporting. And I was actually hoping for better from Heat Street, and now we've been hearing, amongst other things, the Podesta emails that came out actually exposed Heat Street.
Yeah.
Or at least its founder is like she was...
One person.
Yes, the founder, their editor-in-chief, who wrote... And let's be perfectly honest, she wrote an ad for them before she started Heat Street. So she was not a reporter. She was not acting on that part, but it's very clear.
She's a former Tory MP.
And she has very clearly taken a solid bias. I mean, she says that she's for the Republicans, but essentially it's for all the Republican establishment. So yeah, it's once again, it's an outlet which has staked a political landscape, and instead of being fair, they're just going to slant in that direction.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think Heat Street. I just think the whole thing is that with this one person, I think it's got a lot to do with Rupert Murdoch, because Rupert Murdoch is the person who funds Heat Street.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this person, who the founder is, and she follows me, I follow her, we've had some chats, and she's
decent when she's not talking about this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think she is basically a pay-for-politics person at this point.
Yeah, that's what she sort of turned into. I mean, I
think even she knows it, though. I think...
But
again?
Oh, I was just saying, I don't follow her, but she does follow me, and I do follow Heat Street. But it's a shame because I had some high hopes for it.
I think Heat Street itself is good. I think with this one person, unfortunately, it's just like until this election blows over, you can't trust her, because I think she has basically been told that the funding for Heat Street will be pulled if she doesn't do it.
It's essentially top down. You better be going against Trump or else. And aside from the politics, I mean, other stuff that they do still seems to be sound. Ian Miles
a lot of
does
their
great
gaming
work there.
stuff is good.
Yeah, they have overtaken. I think it was said, was it about 7 hours ago? Heat Street in gaming searches is more clicked on than Kotaku.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
That's good. Well, I mean, to be honest, it's not surprising considering, the lack of readership Kotaku has had. Honestly, I do hope Univision get rid of them and dissolve them and get their assets, because that would be a great idea.
Also, other writers of Heat Street have openly pointed out this one person whose name won't be mentioned. For example,
not that Apple.
The Pepe article.
Oh boy!
The other people who have basically have honestly gone, yeah, we don't think this is. Yeah, we're completely standing behind this one in the most sarcastic way you can write in text, and those people are all still employed at Heat Street, which makes it sound like they know. They know that what is happening is this is a funding-based thing. And it's sad, but at least they're aware of it, and they're making you know that they are aware of it. So
yeah, that's all right, at least. But
at least sarcastically.
Yeah. At least one thing, I mean, that's something I always sort of hated about The Guardian, where they... the thing is with Breitbart, I mean, I don't really like them. Don't get me wrong. I don't like them at all. But even when they did expose some of the stuff on GG and stuff like that, and all that, really, they always were sort of, to their credit, they were always upfront about it. The problem with The Guardian is that it's really insidious how they actually present their bias.
Yeah, Roy, you have a sexy voice, incidentally, from the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
I'm here all week, baby.
No, you're just here Saturday. Don't lie to the audience, though. They'll get sad.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday.
Yep, it's Sunday.
Anyway, what I was saying was, I think basically at the end of the day, I think the whole thing's going to work with Breitbart is they did try to do this kind of liberal outreach thing, and then they basically went full Trump to the point where they completely alienated their own editors.
Yep.
I think Milo cred is got about a year left. I might be wrong about that. I could be wrong. But I think he is a person with... Well, if anyone wants to airplay, he clearly has an agenda. Because he was so autistically approaching that situation by going, what the fuck are you even talking about, you stupid asshole?
The thing with him is he's essentially made his point, and he's farmed the outrage that he could from the people who are expected to provide it. He's gotten pretty much everything he can out of it. There's one of two types of college that have him on anymore, and that's the kind that are smart enough not to let their students get riled, and the type that just say, we're just going to deprive him of all oxygen and let him have the venue, but not give, not let it get around or anything.
Mm.
They've learned that to have a display, he can out-display anybody there. He's the biggest peacock in the room.
Oh.
The thing is, I always say this about Milo. He's so beatable. He's there. He is the low-hanging fruit. He is so beatable. I'm not saying I'm the guy to pick up and beat him, because I agree with him on a few things. Well, I agree with him on... You know when you see someone and you go, oh, yeah, you're wrong. I can prove you wrong. Then he says some things and goes, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. But the things that he's wrong on are just so utterly beatable, but they never attack him at his weak points.
No, because they don't understand how to even discuss that.
Yeah.
That's not what they even begin from. They have preset grievances, and anything that goes off of that reservation, they don't know how to respond to.
Yeah, I mean, then again, we are dealing with a media that's taking orders from someone who legitimately believes they've discovered Japan.
No, I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about the people who walk up to him and actually try to have, when he's talking about whenever he has his talks. There's a Q&A section, and the people who go up to him and ask him these questions, and it's like, really, this is your derailing question? This is so obvious.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. That to them, that's all they have. It is a standard list of grievances. It's a standard list of responses to assumed and presumed sins on the part of the speaker.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Milo knows all of them, so he has responses to all of them. They don't.
Yeah, that's what I think is really quite a scary thing, is like they're so beatable now. It's like, because Milo is really beatable and he's wrecking them. Not because he is basically... I'm not saying he's stupid or anything along those lines. I'm just saying that if I was going to go to him and approach him on something, I would not do it in that way. Because they are giving him They're giving him very clear avenues to attack them. And they are giving them to him.
Okay, perhaps I could clarify what's going on. They haven't had any experience in being challenged. Their particular, I hate to use the word hug box, but most of the areas that these people are coming from that they complain, they're constantly reinforced. They're never challenged. So to them, this is the first time they hear a comeback like his. So it's shooting fish in a barrel for him. It's not that he's that great, it's that they're that bad.
I think so, yeah. I'm just saying, these people. I couldn't go to university. I didn't have the grades. I didn't have I had the money. I didn't have the grades though, and I'm just thinking, you are the highly educated ones. You are such children. So you are just. They even feed him in their questions, saying, "Well, you fail to say this, and you fail to say the struggles of the African American society, of the African American community," and you just look at it and you go, "This is such a, oh my god!" They pack so much into their questions that you can just tear it away to the point where you don't even have to answer their question to begin with, to completely derail them and render their points unmute.
I haven't watched one of his stand-ups in quite some time, and to me, that's what it is. It's essentially stand-up comedy.
He does, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't watched one of them in quite some time because the material, quite frankly, at this point is stale, and none of the comedy foils that made him legendary, like Trigglypuff, are showing up. They've gotten smart enough not to be imbeciles on camera, at least.
I don't think they have. I think they just haven't been showing up.
Okay, well, either way, it's essentially that is why I think you're correct in that he's winding down, because he's run through the available resistance. He's steamrolled them; they're gone. At this point, either he transforms into a legitimate debater on the point and becomes a real circuit speaker, or the opposition is going to ramp things up and we're going to see an escalation of some sort.
Hmm.
Anyway,
guys, we've got 20 minutes left. Can we please discuss video games?
Well, I was going to bring up the game I was playing.
Everyone wakes up now. Okay, cool.
No, I was awake the entire time. I was just playing poker.
Okay, video games. Okay, Overwatch Halloween expansion is out, and it's fucking awesome. I want everyone to know that.
Stop boasting about that.
I'm sorry, I have an operational gaming system.
Yeah, you prick. Well, guess if you keep my fucking boast.
I have
about it.
You're completely breaking up. We can't.
Yeah,
beat you to death of a Titan axe.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, Red Dead Redemption sequel.
Yes, please.
You're waking up.
Rockstar Games released a tweet, which was a Rockstar logo surrounded by red. And as we all stop making noises. It looks like it's going to be the new Red Dead game, and I, for one, basically took my trousers off when I saw that. Anyone else's opinions?
They're going to completely pull a 180 on you and make a Deadpool game instead.
I'm waiting to see more information come out. One of the worst ideas that I've heard somebody suggest, and apparently this came from a reputable gaming magazine.
I am going to share it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share the article. There we go. Here it is.
Oh boy. Oh, Games Radar.
Of course.
Oh yes, the retards of the modern age.
Hang on, keep it up for a little bit more.
Okay.
My love for John Marston is so deep that I could cry, even though I am utterly retarded.
Calm down, good drunk guy. Calm down. Okay.
Well, I have to admit,
forget the Old West. A partner. Red Dead should be set in modern day. That's GTA. That's Grand Theft Auto.
It is. Everybody says this guy should be fired.
Yeah, this guy should honestly be fired and taken out into the alley, and has anyone read Might and Men?
Okay. All right, my love for John Marston is so deep. I could cry. Hell, I genuinely did when that very upsetting thing happened to him at the end of Red Dead Redemption. Yet, while the charismatic cowboy is for good, I am frothing at the mouth for Red Dead Redemption 2. Hey, it's not Red Dead Redemption 2. It's Red Dead 3. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we all know that Red Dead Zombie, and that we all know the Red Dead Zombie game was the true sequel because that shit was awesome.
We agreed to disagree on that one. Even as more so the following leak apparent in-game map. Pity I'm not on board with the idea of a prequel. Yeah. This is not about you, Dave. Fuck you. No. Shit. It's not about you. Okay?
I'm not on board with the prequel.
Listen to my snooty voice.
This intellectual property is not moving in the direction that I feel is appropriate.
No, page not found. Okay.
Were you looking for his intelligence?
I'm looking at his profile page.
About the author, you really don't want to know about this guy.
It's not turning up. I can't click on anything. It doesn't turn up.
Okay, well, just read the bio right there, okay? He's a paid maker of words. That's it. That explains it. He's a paid maker of words.
Okay, let me just Google search him. Let me find his Twitter.
Oh, really? Are we, hunting this guy down now?
I am.
Yes, we are going to dox him.
Are we hunting the derp journalist?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
How bad is it?
It's like the entire rest of that article, if I recall correctly, was essentially, here's the direction I think it should go. It's like, why don't you wait? Do you really need to come up with filler by just saying that you're already annoyed that it might be another Western?
Okay, here's basically the thing. Here is his Twitter account. He has less followers than... Well, he has 300 followers. His
He
Twitter
has more
account...
followers than me.
His Twitter account is filled with Simpsons in 2016, pictures of his dog,
In
him
2016.
him in bed watching Simpsons on an iPad.
I really hope in the future that if I do an article that pisses somebody off, that they don't go through my Twitter trying to figure out what kind of person I am.
He is ecstatic because he gets to watch Friends again.
Oh, God damn it. My mom is the same way.
And he is retweeting a bunch of the Red Dead. The Rockstar having their logo on a red background.
So that's about the only thing that he's done as far as gaming journalism on his Twitter is RDR.
Hey,
We just lost somebody.
He's wearing aviator glasses in his profile pic. He's cool, guys.
Or
you can trust what he says. I don't know.
This guy's a cool dude.
Anyway, so Red Dead 3, sorry. It looks like it's happening, and I am hyped as fuck because I love Rockstar. I didn't like their version of Max Payne. I didn't think it was good. And I loved GTA 4, I loved GTA 5, I love Red Dead Redemption. I don't think that the guy who wrote Red Dead Redemption should be set in modern day. I look at it, I'm looking at it, okay, I'm going to share this again. This article has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs.
And mostly filler, isn't it? It's essentially just throwing an opinion to make word count, to have something other than, hey, they're coming out with something new. That's it.
Yeah, I'm just glad I got AdBlock on.
This is kind of the problem when you have a press that is so driven by the need to get page count and viewer counts up that they run with the very first sniff of anything, but at the same time can't just run with that sniff. There's not enough words here. I'm the maker of words. I shall make more words.
Yeah, he's actually talking about... Let's talk about the Coen brothers' laconic 80s set Oscar winner, No Country for Old Men, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's basically talking about all the films that he liked. How it it's so pathetic. And he writes for Games Radar. Oh, God.
They let him, and that's fine and all. It's just the basic premise of set it in modern day. Everybody's response to this is Grand Theft Auto, moron. That's what it already is.
Well, that was always what the original Red Dead... Well, not original. What Red Dead... Oh, God, we lost Gamer.
Yeah.
That's what Red Dead Redemption was. It was Grand Theft Horsey.
Yeah, Grand Theft Pony set in the Wild West.
Well, I like Horsey.
Horsey is more adorable, I think, at least sounding. And you really don't want to just be trotting around on a pony. That would be kind of silly looking. Unless you're a Mongol, and then you're the exception.
Yeah. Well, I actually do I'll be honest, I did like Red Dead Redemption over Grand Theft Auto. Actually, I'm a massive GTA 4 fanboy. I will admit that one. And I loved...
Heresy.
And I loved GTA 5 because I thought it was a really good game, but Red Dead was very Scorsese, if that makes sense. You know, it's a game that hit you in the heart.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hyped for this. I hope they do this. It'll be great.
I
hope it'll be great. I hope it'll be great.
I'm reminded of a terrible thing. You brought up Scorsese and his manner of direction, and it does seem to bleed into all of his films. It's the kind of the emotional moments. He does those very well.
Yeah,
and that to such an extent that there was an animated series some years back called Father of the Pride, which was supposed to be about Siegfried and Roy's circus in Las Vegas. And at one point, Siegfried and Roy want to do the Siegfried and Roy movie experience movie, and they hire Scorsese to direct.
Jesus.
And they actually got him to voice act his character. And no, this is not how he came from Germany.
God damn it, I despise this fucking computer.
Don't worry, get a new one.
I'll trade my phone.
I am. I'm just waiting for the rest.
Yeah, the point I was making is just anything that he does, even the most ridiculous concept, he manages to do with drama and pathos.
What are you guys talking about at the moment?
Scorsese!
Scorsese in relation to Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And then I went off on a freaking tangent, so...
I blame you, especially when you had to deal with the idiocy of an article suggesting that it should be in modern times. I mean, not only they already have a franchise for it, but they'd be ripping off Mafia 3.
No.
Not really,
No.
Well, not really, but
it's
not really, but you get
a terrible thought. I'll tell you, actually, I would kind of like to see a game, and I think this has actually probably been done, it's just not coming to mind, that celebrates the end of the cowboy era.
Yeah!
Where it's starting to get into the more mechanized era, and you're seeing, urban, essentially a cowboy trying to make it some aged guy in an urbanizing cityscape.
That would be hard to pull off, but I think someone could do it.
Yeah, they could probably do it. But god damn it,
That's the great cowboy.
That's what you get for using a Mac, you fucking get. Well, fuck you too. Fuck you too.
Well, he isn't wrong.
Actually, I'm sorry. They sort of have done that kind of flavor in is the most recent Assassin's Creed, where they did it in London.
I'm British. I stayed well away from that game.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about it at the time. I was in China at the time.
Well, it was basically when Ezio when it stopped being about Ezio,
Yeah.
and they brought in this new Native American character. Let's be honest, I think Native Americans are the most boring pieces of shit ever.
Yeah,
I don't care about them. They're boring.
Yeah, they are kind of boring. They were fucking just...
We're British. Native Americans, you are boring as all heck.
The face one girlfriend is defending Hillary. Well, you know what? At least they're not defending how fucking boring the Native Indians are.
The joke's on you. We don't have girlfriends here.
Yeah, I mean, fuck's sake. The fact you have a girlfriend just means you should get out of here. That's...
Anyway,
All right, I'm leaving, guys.
All right,
Gamer said I had to leave.
Wait, what?
Because he has a girlfriend.
Oh god, this is even worse now. Anyway, Assassin's Creed 3, yeah, it was really fucking boring.
And bugged. And and boring.
I mean,
another reason I brought this up was...
But even then, honestly, I would prefer Unity over, this. Because, to be honest, over, Assassin's Creed 3, because, Assassin's Creed 3 was just so boring. How can you fuck that up? How can you fuck up, American history? You honestly can't.
Yeah. The reason I brought this whole thing up was just because that in the newest version, you do have the era of horseback and horse-drawn carriages conflicting with the onset of trains and heavy mechanization. And I don't know if you could do something similar for America, where it's set in Chicago or New York, say around 1900, 1910. Just the sort of person who made their living, riding the range and eating beans out of a chuck wagon and all that, and they're having to adapt to the fact that lifestyle is gone as organized crime begins in major cities.
I think it will be because Red Dead Redemption was basically set in the time of mechanization had begun. They had telephone wires, they had trains, obviously.
So this would be
'Cause
more
that-
like a sequel to that, but more of a proper one rather than what that guy was going on about.
Yeah, basically. Red Dead Redemption in modern times, that's just Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I'm sorry, Red Dead Grand Theft. No.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Redemption.
Red Dead Vice City.
Gay
Tony's Redemption.
No.
Red Dead Auto San
Everyone shut up. Everyone shut up. Sit down.
All right.
Vice City 2. Not Gay Tony. That is a thing. That would be amazing.
Yes.
I will say,
Because Vice City was the best GTA game. Gay Tony was the best character.
I will say I would like another GTA in Vice City. That would be really
Yes.
nice.
Who wouldn't? That was the best game.
Yeah, Vice City. I mean, I kind of like San Andreas a bit more, but I loved Vice City. That was the best world, and I love the character.
Yeah, San Andreas, I will actually go out here and say I did not like San Andreas.
Really?
Basically, because the point is I am a big missions and story fan, and, for example, their version of San Francisco, you wander into, do 3 missions, and then you bugger off again. And you had a protagonist who I did not like.
I wanted to play CJ just straight. I wanted, it's like, okay, this is an open world thing. I want to make some decisions and actually improve this character's life. No, you're not allowed.
Yeah, I will
it's so
say.
scripted. The most fun I had was just wandering around town and going into shops and riding the train and biking and things like that. Anything but finishing the missions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing problem with it is just that whenever I think about it, it's just like, I'm not having fun. It feels like a big world, but there's not much to do in it.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame because all you had to do was follow the damn train.
That's all you had to do was follow the damn train.
I'm just saying, GTA 3, GTA Vice City, GTA 4, GTA 5 did everything better than San
GTA
Andreas.
5, you could be able to just explore everywhere.
Then San Andreas,
What about my cousin? Still great.
I will.
So
I
what
did
love GTA 4?
Four I did not like, and it was.
that?
I'll be honest. I did not like 4, all because of just this annoying fuck cousin kept wanting to go fucking bowling with me.
Here is how you do that.
No.
You say to him, if he calls you up, go, yes, I want to go bowling. Then immediately call and cancel. Does not, and that's...
Yeah, but I don't like it when. But when you cancel, he calls again in 5 fucking minutes.
When he calls,
You know
cancel. Well, when he calls, you agree. Then you call him back and you cancel.
You know what, Gamer
It
Lady?
wasn't-
I know what will calm you down. Why don't you and I go bowling?
I will ram this beer bottle right up your ass, and then I will smash it.
And then we can get pizza afterwards.
Well, I don't know what state your intestines are going to be by then, but okay.
Anyway, it's been 2 hours. We'll call it here. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Fireside Podcast. I have been Pippin McGee. With me has always been Gamer of Ages.
Left to the communists.
Okie dokie, Liberty Prime, calm down.
Oh shit!
We've had Not the Apple
there's
and
lightning.
Ron Cowback.